cloud. There you go. Good morning, real closers. We are back. And we're back with Power Hour, always a hot topic. And this time we're talking about the Super Bowl of Expireds. Gustavo, how is this market right now? What are we doing?
Yeah, so it's an interesting time to be in real estate right now, right? Because we have for me personally, compared to where I was, the last time the market shifted, whether you call COVID like a shift, whether you call 2010 like a shift, and the big shift we saw back in like a market crash in 2008, we have so much more data now, right? We have so much more information at our fingertips. At least me personally, 10 times more information than I had back in 2008, and way more than I had even back in 2020 at my fingertips to look at, right? So it's undisputable that we're seeing a shift in the marketplace, right? What we're seeing though, Roberto, is that it's very different depending on where you are in the country. The US is a massive country, right? It's massive. There's little countries inside the US. It's so diverse, right? The standard of living, the median wage, the cost of a property, right? It's very different across every part of the country. So naturally, the shift is occurring very differently. But almost at least at the state level, every state is seeing a shift. And what do I mean by that? I mean an increase in active listings and a decrease in pending listings. That's what I mean. Because that drives everything else. The definition of a buyer's versus a seller's market is how many actives versus pendings do you have at any given time, right? Which means how much, we're going to get technical, the absorption rate. How many months of inventory do you have at any given time? The more actives you've got versus pendings, the more available inventory you've got. That is the definition of whether you're in a seller's market, balanced market, or buyer's market. That's it, right? So in that sense, we are seeing a shift from a red hot, blazing hot, white hot seller's market, right? Earlier in the year, to at least right now, more of a balanced market, less of a seller's market, right? Less of a seller's market nationally. But you go down to the city level, which is what matters, guys, right? The only thing that matters for anyone that's listening to this is what's going on in your own city. Maybe your own neighborhood, right? Because you see a big difference even among different parts of the city, a metro area, very different. I'll give an example. Las Vegas, Nevada, right? Las Vegas currently, the last week of June, had almost 6 times as many active listings than pending listings. Almost 6 times as many actives as pendings. Like, wait, what? Yes, right? What does that mean? They are way ahead of every other metro area in the US on that shift. They're shifting hard, which is not that hard to understand because Vegas has been a very boom and bust market the last 10, 20 years. It's a very boom and bust, right? So a lot of people rush and the investors rush in, and when things change, it's a vacation destination. People rush out, they're just not sure what's gonna happen. That kind of makes sense. Phoenix, also a lot of volatility in the last few market shifts, also having a lot of activity with the actives versus pendings. But the other end of the spectrum, South Florida, for example, right? And I get a lot of comments from my clients in South Florida. Gus, this is not happening. You're crazy. Like, hold on. I mean, yes, because in Miami-Dade County, that area, that's the most densely populated part of South Florida, there are 3 active for every 2 pending listings, right? There's 1.5 actives for every pending listing versus Las Vegas, 6 active listings for every pending listing. Of course, they think they're in different countries. You tell someone in Miami that the market is shifting, they think you're out of your mind, right? Like shifting to a hotter seller's market. What do you think is going on, right? They're seeing bidding wars and they're seeing everything we've seen across the last, especially the last 24 months. They're still seeing it. It hasn't really changed, not yet, right? In Miami. Is it going to change in Miami? I'm not smart enough to know how it's going to change in the future. I can tell you what's going on right now, which is they are nowhere near a balanced market in Miami, but they are in a rush to get balanced in Las Vegas. Similar situation in Boise, similar situation in Phoenix, right? Big shifts in those marketplaces, big shifts. And it kind of makes sense. A lot of the folks that were working remotely moved to Boise, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. It was a big exodus from Californians, for example, and Washingtonians. They were rushing during the lockdowns, during work from home. It was a big rush. Now with the change in interest rates and people kind of seeing a shift in the marketplace, people are not rushing to those areas anymore. It's just kind of what's happening. So where are we at the market, Roberto? It depends where you are, but nationally as a collection, it's undisputable. We're seeing a shift towards a more balanced market right now. And that brings some opportunities, right? It brings about, it's not doom and gloom. Oh my goodness, this is the worst thing ever. I don't think that's true. I think a more balanced market always favors the professional real estate, okay? If you're a pro, right? Again, I don't want to knock like part-timers, newbies. I have nothing against you guys, right? I'm just saying, I'm trying to give you as many facts as possible. If you know how to properly market a property other than putting it on the MLS, if you know how to generate qualified buyers, if you know how to prospect for listings and buyers, a more balanced market favors you. You're going to do better in a more balanced market versus a white hot seller's market, right? That's just, I feel that's just the way things are, right? That's the fact. So I tell people, do not fear a shifting market. Do not. Double down on the most important things and figure out what are the new opportunities that are going to emerge. Get ahead of the game. I was talking to one of the big data providers this week, one of the folks from RedX, right? So I think it's Robert Sullivan, their marketing guy. And he said, hey, you're really ahead of they were seeing some of my content. You're really ahead of the curve on this expires thing, because we've been tracking it since December. So December, which was the lowest month of inventory like on record, they said, hey, they saw more expires than they did a year ago in December already, right? Again, small data points, guys. These aren't massive data points. They're very small at that point. They thought it was noise. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. Like, oh, wait, it actually did mean something. They saw things changing. Because, you know, the Fed announced they were going to raise interest rates in November, right? That was the first signal. They didn't say nothing about 0.75 basis points. They didn't say anything about that. They just said, we might need to raise interest rates next year. There was a signal there. And they're seeing it. And right now, we're not seeing a massive amount of expireds, but it is increasing at an accelerating pace, right? And that's what I want to talk about today, specifically the opportunity that exists with expired listings. If you've ever called expireds with any kind of regularity, or you're in that kind of group of people that prospect and know expireds, you understand the best day to call expired listings in the whole year is January 1st, right? My personal record of appointments and nurtures set in one day, January 1st, 19 appointments and converted nurtures, right? People are going to sell in the next few months, right? One day. And I didn't even call all day. I probably stopped calling at noon or 1 p.m. I started at 8 in the morning, stopped at noon, 19 converted sellers. That's a good day. I don't care who you are, right? So you can only do that on a day where you're like overwhelmed with expireds. Boom, 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 everyone comes off the market, right? So January 1st is typically that day. What happened this year though? We didn't see a massive number of listings expire because inventory was so low, right? So it was again, a lot of expired listings, more than most days, but not a massive number. The second best day to call expired listings is July 1st. Okay, that's again, you have to make the calls. You have to know people in the people that are in the know to know this. And if you call expireds every day, you absolutely know this, right? Because in general, the first day of any month, more listings expire. The 15th of any month, more listings expire, because people like round numbers, I guess, right? They want to start at the beginning or the middle, whatever, right? They round it out to the next end or midpoint of anything. So the end, midpoint, and end of the year and midpoint of the year, you get more listings to expire just because that's the way people work, I guess, right? I'm not smart enough to know, but I just know the fact, right? A lot of listings expire. So tomorrow,
back that up.
Exactly. Yeah. So I actually talked to RedX to give me some data to show you guys with numbers. I'll have that soon. But anecdotally, that's what happens. But this year is different because this year, January 1st was not that good. But guess what? In the first quarter of the year, expired listings went up 40% compared to a year ago. The first quarter. And I don't know about you guys, but I did not start feeling the shift in January, February, March, right? I didn't feel it, but it was happening. I didn't feel it. I really started to feel it in April, May, and June, because you had two massive increases in the interest rate in April and in June. Massive increases, right? Higher than expected. So we really started to feel it in the second quarter of the year. My prediction, which takes no skill whatsoever to make, is that we're going to see way more expireds in the second quarter than we did in the first quarter, okay? Which leads me to say tomorrow, the typically second best day to call expireds in the whole year is now going to be the absolute best day this year to call expireds, right? So far, the best day of the year. So I'm telling folks, if you've never called expireds before, I would crack out that phone, right? And I would learn, I would educate myself, because you're going to have a lot more people to talk to than you did last year or the year before around this time. It's going to be a big opportunity. Some people don't like expireds, they don't want them. Some people stopped calling them, Roberto, because they were so hard to talk to the last 24 months. I have empathy. I understand it. It's hard. I have clients that stopped calling expireds and FSBOs in January, specifically January, because they go, it's never been this hard, January of this year. And I agree, probably never had been that hard. But the market is shifting. And in some places, it is shifting hard, right? So number one, know your numbers, understand where you are. And I recommend, guys, check out those expired listings tomorrow and see how many pop up. Even if you don't make a bunch of calls tomorrow, those people are going to be on the fence for the next few weeks. It's just the way it works. A lot of them, even though I would love to say, oh, they're all going to be relisted tomorrow, a lot of them need to take it in and like think about it for a few days. But whoever makes the call and follows up with them is going to get that listing and gives them a good value prop. Expireds, yes, they can be challenging. Yes, they can have an issue with their property, but a lot of them just had to, specifically right now, second quarter of the year, a lot of expired listings are going to be very confused. They're going to be, obviously going to be upset about it. They're going to be very confused as to why their home didn't sell, right? I see that as a massive opportunity to show them that you take control of the situation, show them how to get their home sold, educate them on the market, coach them through the decisions they need to make if they want to sell their home, right? They need a pro. They need a pro to go out there, take control of the situation and help them. They might be upset with their previous agent. They might have had a bad experience. The agent might have done fine, but the market shifted too quickly. They couldn't adapt. That's okay. That happens, guys. And it's going to be happening for the rest of the year for a lot of people. If they're not listening to these calls that we make here in Real Close every week or educating themselves in the market, they might not even know what's happening in the broad sense. They might be stuck on their last listing that had multiple offers that went, sold 50K over a list price, right? They might think that's still the case. And a lot of people are struggling with that right now. So be a resource to these sellers. Tell them that you know how to get their home sold. Give them confidence, right? Because you're typically going to have one of two conversations with them. The condition of the property needs to change and or the price of the property needs to change, okay? That's typically the issue with 99.9% of expireds. You have to have a crucial conversation, a heart-to-heart about the condition, the price, or maybe both, right? So understand, and the only way you're going to be able to have that conversation is if they trust you. Show your skill, show your competence, tell them what you can do for them, and that you can get that property sold. When can you be over to talk to them about that? Take a look at the home, make some suggestions, and come up with a game plan, right? To get that property sold. And guess what? Part of that game plan is having a really important conversation on price. That's what a lot of them need to understand. And they need to understand one important fact. They don't set the price and you don't set the price. Oh, it's because I want to do this with them. They've maybe already spent the money mentally. I'm going to net 100,000 because I'm going to go buy an RV or I'm going to go buy a new property and I didn't want a mortgage. I'm going to buy a condo in Cabo. They had already spent the equity, right? This is some of the challenge with some of these sellers. And a lot of questions I'm seeing. Oh, my seller can't reduce price because they need that net. They've already spent it mentally. You have to be the pro that tells them reality, guys. And a motivated seller is gonna come to Jesus' moment and go, okay, they accept it, right? And they go, hey, if I want to make this happen, I gotta get real about it. Those are the sellers you need to work with, right? Some of them are never gonna come around, that's fine. But that's why you talk to more than one person, to talk to the motivated sellers, the ones that actually have to sell their home and that are reasonable, are gonna become more reasonable about it, right? You gotta tell them they don't set the price, you don't set the price. The price of that condo in Cabo doesn't set the price. The market sets the price. The market is changing. Show them with numbers. That's why my listing presentation always a lot about numbers, right? We need these many viewings to get these many showings to get a competitive offer, right? If part of that's not work, it's just not going to work, right? Oh, I just need one motivated client. Yeah, one person touring the property typically doesn't mean anything. You need a certain conversion rate. Your job as an agent is to get eyeballs on the property, views, as many views as possible. Through the MLS, through social media, through advertising, through prospecting, doesn't matter, right? Your marketing plan gets eyeballs on the property. The price of that home and the condition of that home is going to determine how many offers you're going to get, okay? And if sellers don't understand that, you need to educate them on that. Your job is to put that property in front of as many qualified people as possible, but no amount of marketing, Mr. Seller, is going to overcome condition or price. It's just not the way it works. It's just not the way it works. You're a savvy buyer. You're going to buy a home as well. Yes. Would you go and overpay for a home if you don't need to? Well, no. If you don't have to, of course not, right? Buyers are savvy. They see the same information that you see. We've got to get real. And if you're in one of the heavier shifting markets, you actually have to get ahead of the market if you want to get sold. And you have an opportunity to sell above list price, but you got to be ahead of the market. You never want to be behind a declining market. You never want to be behind. You're not going to sell. You're going to expire. So understand, educating clients on that is your job. That's what we have to do nowadays, right? And of course, it's the best to have this conversation at the listing appointment, right? That's the best point to have it. The second best time is to have it when they want to get the home sold, when they're serious about it, right? That is the second best time to have that conversation with them. So all of this to say, a lot of these conversations are forthcoming. They're coming. They're going to be coming to you. Be ready for them. Be ready for them. Do not fear the Super Bowl of Expireds. Guys, there's opportunity here, but we have to shift that focus, shift that script, shift that mindset to be able to be successful even in a shifting market, despite a shifting market.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know what that means, right? More inventory, better opportunities for our, loan officers, our new MLOs, our new lenders, right? Coming into the game.
Yeah, look, 100%. Yeah. And you know what, Roberto? Here's the thing. Buyers coming into the market right now, they've been priced into the new mortgage rates. They're only looking because they can probably afford something even with these new interest rates. So all buyers are also great. Do not discredit those buyers. Keep buyer lead gen going, because if they're looking now, they factored in the new interest rate. They can buy a home at 5.5%. And guess what? If I'm a seller right now, I'm doing everything humanly possible to get my client to buy down that rate down to 4. That's my sole focus, is how much money do we need to give that buyer to get their interest rate under 5%, because that's a magic number, guys. If they can get that interest rate at 4 instead of 5, they feel it's money in the bank. Let's get this property. That changes the game. That should be the topic of our next conversation, Roberto. The strategy of using that buy down rates as a strategy to get a home sold. That is our job as a real estate agent, by the way. Strategies to net our client more money and get more qualified buyers to the door. That's a great one. Let's put that one on the table for the next week. But that is a great topic in and of itself. And I love you to check on that one too, because I'm not a lender myself. I just kind of know how that works in general. But that's a great strategy to use.
Yeah, let's do that for sure. Let's do that for sure. And guys, remember, if you guys need help with calling, why don't we drop that link again in the comments?
Oh, for sure. If again, Super Bowl of Expireds is coming up. More and more expires are going to be coming onto the market as the summer season wanes down, in the fall and in the winter. If you need help making those calls, right? Get an ISA to help you make those calls. They can help you go through the weeds and find those most motivated buyers, right? So sellers. Help you make that initial contact, which that's the one people want to avoid the most, that initial call. Have an ISA help you with those initial calls, and you could talk to the people that actually want to talk to a real estate agent at this point in time, right? Because some of them absolutely don't, and I respect it, I understand it, power to them. Have an ISA go through those numbers and connect you with the people that actually want to speak with you.
Exactly. So we'll drop the link in the comment if you need that additional help. We'll be back again next week. Guys, prospect, take advantage of the opportunities out there, and let's do this. Let's level up. All right, guys. All right. We'll see you again next week, man. Thanks for stopping by again. Thanks.